Why is tokenism rife in the adoption of patient voice activities? We have established in previous videos that patients add a human dimension to the process of drug development. But the patient voice can become tokenistic when it is included without genuinely influencing decision-making or outcomes. Where enthusiasm for patient engagement within CROs and pharmaceutical companies exist, true commitment often starts off with top-level support, but then only achieves limited adoption across the entire organization. In other words, it is often a top-down initiative that meets resistance by the time it engages with middle management, and for this read vice president and lower. That's middle management. This is where new ideas clash with local organizational customs and practices, knowledge management, knowledge maintenance, and knowledge loss. This is illustrated in the following paraphrase of a conversation I personally recently had with a CRO. Question from external consultant, i.e. me. Why is this consent form 25 pages long and written in a style that is inaccessible to everybody? Answer from middle manager. Because we've always used this. It was written by our team of clinical and legal experts. Question from external consultant. Don't you think it might be nice to have expert information design input here? We could develop a more accessible version of the consent form, then we could maybe test it on a small number of lay people to ensure that real patients in the clinical study could understand it. Answer from middle manager after 3 weeks of internal discussions. No. How companies communicate with their patients, their supposed consumers and target clients, reveals the extent to which they take the patient voice agenda seriously. If you provide sloppy, lazy information, whether this is a consent form, a clinical outcome assessment, a package leaflet, a medication guide, or a lay summary, then you clearly do not care much about your patients. Other factors that betray tokenism are as follows. When there is limited engagement where patients are consulted only at specific stages, such as right at the end of the study or development, rather than throughout the development cycle. This is where patient engagement is an afterthought. When patients are only superficially involved, such as in the form of advisory boards where feedback is not seriously sought or is ignored. And if feedback is included, then there is no action taken. This is patronizing and it wastes the patient's time. Where patients are non-representative of typical patient populations, such as only from what we mentioned before, the empowered demographic. This means that views from such patients presented through the prism of privilege is not representative and the needs of a diverse patient population are not captured. In activities such as readability testing, concept elicitation, content validity, linguistic validation, consent form development that has input from patients. As participants in these activities, these are framed as patient voice initiatives. Of course, these are opportunities to understand more about the patient's lived experience, but this depends on how seriously the sponsor takes their input. Is it just a checkbox activity, or is it an opportunity to learn from patients? In any event, doing only this is not patient voice research. Patient involvement needs to be meaningful, ongoing, and integrated into all phases of drug development. Authentic engagement comes from to what extent pharma companies genuinely listen to and act on patient feedback. Thank you for listening. This was originally written by Mark Gibson in Cologne, Germany, October 2024.